All right, just making sure that's actually going live. And also that I can see you and see any comments. So hello. Hello and welcome. There we go. Yep, we are live. Welcome to day 3 of Following Your Own Flow to Success. So in day 1, we talked a little bit more about hi there. We talked about what aspects are required for your own flow and how much you could be imprinted by things in your life in the past, and also maybe even generational around you, etc. And also how beliefs are formed and how the identity is actually put together. So that we did in day 1. And day 2, we talked a lot about the body, because without the body being in complete rest and relaxation, then you can't actually change much and actually be in that flow. So we did a beautiful full body meditation and relaxation yesterday. So I invite you to do that. And I did a bit of at the beginning about how if we don't do that, the body can actually hold us back from progressing, because we're going to be behaving in the same way because the body needs to stay in survival. Now, when you've done a lot of body work and you start to release trauma and you start to release lots of the stuff that's actually been sitting in the tissues, in the body and in the subconscious, then we can actually start to delve into a little bit more about around who we truly be. And so I'm going to be zipping around. I'm a bit distracted just only because I have got some things on screen that I'm going to be sharing with you. So let's talk a little bit about what knowing oneself, why it's important to really know yourself. More often than not, we have so much accumulated pieces of ourselves that aren't actually ours, that we can mistakenly think that we are one way or another, that we prefer one thing or another, or we I mentioned yesterday, you may have identified with the Energizer Bunny or the introvert, or you may have identified with the shy person. These sort of things may not actually be you. They may not be what is underlying who you are. Now, some of you may have probably heard of things like the Myers-Briggs profile testing, which they do often in companies, in corporates. So if you're a professional and you haven't done a Myers-Briggs, no doubt that's possibly been done. That's something that's very, very recognized. The other one is enneagrams, which is also showing you where you go to when you are stressed. So there is the actual you, but who do you become when you're stressed? That's really useful with the Enneagram. There's also disc profiles, literally so many ways. Most of these have actually been created to be used in the workplace or used in therapy with psychologists and psychiatrists to give them an idea of how that person is. But the one which I have found to be the most useful so far, and I've actually been doing this for, when did I start in corporate? Let me think. And that would have been 1998 or 99. So a fair few years I was in corporate doing learning and development, working in the not in the human resources, but in the learning and soft skills and development side of people, working in training and those areas, building teams, looking at how people perform together, facilitation, projects, all of those kind of areas was my bag in corporate. And of course, I went through a lot of these types of profiling systems in order to help people when they were having promotions or putting together teams and that kind of thing. The last one I came across actually while I was in corporate, and I was using this for the last few years while I was there, which is actually really useful when you are planning to hire teams, hire people in roles, really useful when you're actually, if you have a team beneath you as a manager, and also to know yourself, is the language and behavior profile, which describes behaviors and motivation. So how people are motivated, in what way. It's very contextually orientated, so it only applies if you're asking about work. It will, though that particular profile of you would only apply in work, whereas if you were to ask about it in a relationship, it would apply in a relationship, and so on. So it's a really, really useful tool for yourself and for others, so that you know how, even when you're actually looking for a job or a role or something to do, to really pick something that suits you. Just to give you an example, if you are looking for a job and you are, say, looking at data analysis, just to give you an idea, and part of your behavior, one of the indicators is that you are not detail oriented and not specifically motivated, then you're going to find it quite difficult to do a very minutiae orientated data analysis job. That's going to be a stretch for you. You'll be able to do it probably, but it's not going to sit within yourself as how you actually operate in a workplace. You would be maybe better suited to finding something that's more big picture, slightly less based on detail, more general looking. So that's just one of the things which language and behavior covers. Now, recently, I had the great pleasure, say recently, it's been 4 years now since I came across human design. I use human design, cosmic human design, and Gene Keys. And this has really helped me to know myself better, but also has helped my clients and helped me in a coaching arena to see how my clients are wired, or more importantly, how they are underneath wired, where maybe there is conditioning over the top, where they've become a certain way, and actually that's starting to cause issues for them. So maybe they're breaking down because they have been conditioned to be a way that they actually truly are not. So I'd really love to know how many of you have looked at human design, maybe you know about it. And all you need to actually get your design is your date of birth, your time of birth, and your place of birth. There are many, many free apps and free websites that you can get your profile with. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share my screen. And I've got a few designs up, and I'm going to go through just really, such basic level here, just to give you a small idea of the key things that when you begin with human design that maybe would be useful for you to know. So there's obviously, when I show you the design, you'll see how intricate it actually is. There's no way that I'm going to be covering that today. And also I'd like to do some deconditioning, some clearing for you. So I'm going to spend the next sort of 10 minutes really briefly going through some aspects on a human design chart. And then I'm going to be doing some clearing around identity for you. So if you are looking to just start to unpick some of the conditioning that might be holding you back, that you can actually begin that with the clearing. So just bear with me. I will share my screen. There we go. Perfect. So, and I'm going to sort of go in and out because, of course, I've obscured the names and I've obscured all the dates of birth for confidentiality. And hopefully you can actually see that. Now, I will be looking to the side only because that's where the chart is and my camera has not moved. So let's see, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, so this first one is probably one of the most common types of people in the world. There are 5 different designs. There are generators, manifesting generators, projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. I do not have a reflectors chart. I haven't got one. I haven't had a client who's a reflector yet. They are actually the most rare. The most common ones are the generators and manifesting generators, making up around 80% of the population. Now, you'll see on the chart here, I'm going to talk about two things. One, what the different types mean. And secondly, I'm going to be talking about the authority. Only because those are the two most simple things to actually look at when you begin seeing human design. And I'm just going to give you some key words. Of course, it's by no means a reading as such, just to give you some idea as to what that is. And it might resonate with you as to either things that you are prone to, or maybe if you have been really, really conditioned, you might find that some of this stuff doesn't actually resonate with you, but not because it's not you, but because it is, you've been conditioned otherwise. So we were talking about that in the very first day, that you get programmed and conditioned from birth. But this design is actually who you are truly meant to be through your birth date and your and the stream of energy that imprinted itself into your body and also your soul as well. So 3 types: generator, manifesting generator. So 5 types, 3 types, 5 types: generator, manifesting generator, projector, manifestor, and reflector. What does that mean as a type? That simply means how you interact with the world. It is your aura. They call it an aura. It's how you interact with the world. So a generator interacts with the world by responding to things. So things come towards them and they respond to it. They often are they have their sacral defined, so they often have a lot of life force energy. They can do things for a long time, but not things that don't bring them any joy or purpose or fulfillment. If they're doing lots and lots and lots of things that don't bring them fulfillment or purpose, they can get quite exhausted. But otherwise, they're the sort of people who steadily go through the day. They generally have a lot of energy, and it's steady energy. You kind of can tell when you're with a generator because it feels actually quite calm. It's a fairly calm energy because it is consistent and ongoing. So they haven't got as much, say, fire as some of the other types. This particular generator, you can see here, sacral defined, and I'm pointing on the screen. I hope you can see that. Let me know if you're watching that you can see that. That'd be great. They've got their sacral defined, tells me that's a generator. And then they've got a lot of energy centers here. So that tells me that they have the capacity of being able to do a lot, to keep going without getting completely knackered and tired. And they will need a good night's sleep, obviously, but they sleep when they're tired and they wake up and they recharge. So that's generally what a generator is like. Right, moving on, I'm going to stop share, then go to the next one, and again, obscure the name so you can see that. Okay, so hopefully you can see that again. So this person is a manifesting generator. Now, manifesting generators have got the same ongoing energy that a generator does have, but because they have got a connection from a motor to the throat, that makes them have more push. They often feel like they need to be doing multiple things. And the way they interact with the world is, rather than just responding, they need to inform first as well as respond. So when they are responding to things, it's important for them to let people know what they're doing, because otherwise it can seem to come out of the blue and it can actually be a bit repelling for people. So it's important for manifesting generators to get used to letting people know what's going on, waiting, because often they have an impulse to do something. So they need to actually wait in between actually doing. So they inform, wait. So the impulse is the informing, wait, and then they will respond, whatever it is, whether it be an action, whether it be doing something themselves, whether it be an invitation, whatever it is, there has to be an external stimulus for them to respond to. That can literally be anything. So generators, manifesting generators, very, very similar. The response part, it can be anything. It can literally be walking into a pub, seeing the menu, and they respond to that menu by ordering, for example. So that's the manifesting generator. Again, I'm just going to stop share, go to the next one, bring up my little thing here. Wonderful. Let me know how you are finding this, if it's resonating so far. I'd love to know. And I'd love to know in the comments if you actually know what you are, if you've done some human design. As I said, this is very basic. A reading is very different. It goes into a lot more depth, and you find out a lot more about all of this. And I'll invite you to what I actually do with people a little bit later. Okay, so manifester, this is the next one. There are not many manifestors around anymore. They used to be the leaders, the very pushy leaders of the past. They literally, their aura, the way they interact with the world is, so generators, manifesting generators draw people in. Manifestors, it's kind of a love or hate relationship with manifestors. You either fall in love with their energy and follow, or they can also be very repelling. So manifestors sometimes can have issues with friendships if they're not used to their communication styles. Just their aura can be repelling. And so they need to learn how to release the barriers, open the barriers up to allow people in, because in general, a manifestor has their barriers up. That's what their aura is. It's like a wall. So when they can learn to bring down the barriers, they can actually guide people as leaders in a really, really great way. Very, very innovative usually. They're very much on the cutting edge often, and a lot of energy. But you'll notice that where the manifesting generator and the generator, their sacral was defined, the manifestor's sacral is not defined. So that consistent life force energy that the Mani-Gen and the generator has, the manifestor has like the real fire part of it, but then they do need to take break. They do need to take rests. They need to have downtime. Actually, when I do readings, I say to all of the types, everyone needs downtime in order just to drop the energy that's being picked up by the outside, so they can actually step into their own energy space. But manifestors will need more rest than, say, a manifesting generator or a generator. And you often find that they are like the sprinters, so but then they stop, they recover, and they go again. So that's the manifestor. Moving on. So let me just bring that up. Share again. So this is a projector. Now, projectors often feel a little bit hard done by when they find out they're projectors, because they realize that not only do they not have ongoing energy to really like go, go, go and keep up with generators, manifesting generators, even manifestors. But also they are programmed, their aura works very differently than a generator or manifesting generator. The way their aura works is to actually focus their energy to one person. They see in. They're often not completely self-aware, but they see into others. So if you're with a projector, you'll often feel almost under the microscope. It may not be anything they do or say because they've gotten used to communicating in the world, but just their aura, their gaze, their energy is looking into you. So it can make some people feel quite vulnerable. And a projector is important for them to really be aware of that so they can build trust before they focus their aura onto people. It can have the effect of people thinking, oh my God, no. And it may be too intense. Now, there's something very interesting about the combination of a projector and a manifester, actually, because they if the manifester doesn't feel like they are safe or they don't trust the projector, the manifester will literally block the projector. And for the projector, that's really harsh. It's like, what? And for the manifester, it means that that interaction can be very, very, very conflictual. So if you do know that you have someone in your family or your client who is a manifester and you're a projector, or vice versa, trust is absolutely critical, because the auras don't always, they're not always cooperative, shall we say. Now, the way that the projector interacts with the world, as I said, it is to that their aura sees out. And in order for them to actually bring their genius into the world, bring things into the world, they need to be waiting for an invitation. Now, in the same way as a generator, an invitation doesn't literally mean an invitation, but it's maybe when someone asks for advice or asks them to share something. If they're in a group, it bodes well for a projector to stay quiet until they're asked for their opinion. Or if someone, says, oh, does anyone have, and then they would say, can I share? That's another way to get an invitation, is saying, can I share? Would you mind if I give you my views on this, if I share my views on this? When projectors are offering advice, because projectors are actually the guides of the world now, the manifestors really lead, the projectors guide, so they're sort of side by side. And there's about 20% now and more growing of projectors being born into the world. They're here to really guide us into the next awakened consciousness. So often they will have information and they will need to be aware not to give their opinion or give their information, give their wisdom without it being requested. So that's really, really important for a projector, is to know not to barge in when they've got all this energy. Once they know they're a projector, they can actually preface it. So that is a projector. I'm going to stop share again. Got a couple more to go. Actually, the next one's very interesting because the previous projector had energy centers. Let me just show you, because I was talking about the energy part. A projector really, really needs to have a good amount of rest. They don't have a lot of energy in general because their sacral is also, they don't have that consistent life force. But there are other motors that they have. And this particular projector has got all three motors, which are energy giving centers. So they've got their root, which is like the root chakra. They've got their solar plexus, that's defined, and they've got their will center, which is the heart center, and those 3 centers are motors. So this particular projector could sometimes be mistaken for a manifesting generator, and they may even mistake themselves for a generator or a manifesting generator because they have energy there, and they often find themselves pushing too hard and not knowing when enough's enough. Especially the sacral part is about knowing when's enough's enough. So when it's white like that, it means that they can plug in to other people's centers, to other people's energy, get that energy, but then they wear themselves out. So this is a particular type of projector, an energy projector. Now I'm going to show you a non-energy projector and what that looks like. Okay, there we go. There we are. I think that's sharing now. Yeah. So this particular projector, you can see same thing, waiting for the invitation. The aura is very, very focused. But you can see here that they have nothing, no coloring in the lower half of their profile. So they do not have the sacral colored in, so they don't have that constant life force, but they also do not have any other motors. What they do have, though, is a throat center, which actually gives them a lot of power. And this particular projector will need to really listen to the intellect, allow all emotions to drift away, and to listen to their mind, actually, when they're making decisions. But they will need to have lots of rest, and when they're around others who are mani-gens or generators, they may find that they get literally plugged in, and it's difficult to switch out of that. So you know, a projector like this, I would just say to them, take care of your energy, a lot of downtime, a lot of meditative practice, mindfulness practice, just downtime, things that bring you joy but that aren't like over energy taking. So for example, a generator, to have some downtime, they could actually go and do a gardening or activities, whereas a projector doesn't really want to use more energy. So their downtime needs to be much more gentle. You know, walks along the beach, very, very gentle stuff. So this is a non-energy projector. I'm going to stop that. And then the last one. Actually, I don't think I need to share that with you. That one's okay. That's another, I was just looking at another manifestor here. Let me see if that first one. Yeah, so, okay. There's that one. There we go. That one's intuitive. Okay. Yeah, I will just share this last with you because it's very interesting, different types of the types. So going back to the manifestor. There we go. So remember the manifestor. I want you just to notice that this particular person has got the join up of their throat to what we call the intuition center, the splenic center. So this person is guided by their intuition, but can be affected by their emotions, because this one here, the white one, this white triangle pointing inwards, is actually the emotion center. So when it is white like this, that means that they're more affected by other people's emotions, so they can often mistake emotion for their own. But their definition here, the colored in part, is in the intuitive center. So they really need to decondition that space so they can trust and really follow their intuition. And when I say intuition, everybody has intuition, but a splenic intuition is like, you know, when people say, I get a hit, or I get a ping or an idea, and it's very split second. So it comes in, and if you don't act on it, it comes out again. So if you're a splenic type, if your authority is splenic in any of the types, you're going to need to notice when you get hits of inspiration and act on them, because they will disappear. Now, this next manifester is a bit of a firecracker. So I'm going to show you this one. And this is actually one of my daughters. This is really useful, by the way, if you have a family, it's really useful to know their types, because you can actually work out how to parent better, and also what people need within the family to keep it healthy. So this is one of my daughters, and she's a manifester. And she has her throat center connected to the emotional center. And that makes her, because of that expressiveness of a manifester, they're very forceful. If you imagine from the intuition side, it's more gentle. But if you have an emotional, so they're on the top part of their emotions, whether they're happy or not happy, and often they're not happy is anger. With a manifester, they're not happy isn't sadness, often it's anger. Each type has a different signature of how they are when they're not happy, when they're not living in their self, as opposed to when they are. That's something else that goes into the profiles. But in this case, she has extreme bursts of emotion. She's quite young, so she really needs to learn regulation, emotional regulation, and how to express her emotions in a healthy way. Not suppress them, but express them in a healthy way. And when they are young, you often find that they're the ones who have full-on tantrums, like really explosive tantrums. Whereas the splenic, the one that is guided more by intuition, they'll get a spark of anger, but then it will fizzle out. They can't sustain it. But with the emotion center colored in here, they can sustain that emotion. They can keep going, and they can hold on, for dear life. So those are the four types. Now, the fifth type, the reflector, a reflector, basically they have their whole chart white. And often these people are the mirrors of the world. They're very rare. They're 2%. If you are a reflector, I would love you to get in contact, and I'd love to run your chart, because I've only run one reflector chart and I don't actually have it. So if you find that you run your chart and you're a reflector and you fancy getting a little mini reading from me, let me know. I would love to do that for you, as long as you're okay with me keeping the chart just to refer to. So back to reflectors. They're often, because they have no guidance system of how to make decisions, often you find that they follow the lunar cycle. So reflectors are very, very much influenced by the lunar cycle, and also the solar cycle now, because we're moving more into a solar cycle time era. So the solar cycle, as well as but more so the lunar cycle with the reflector, they are the ones where when you're with them, it's like they reflect you back to you. So the way they are being is often the way you are. It's really, really, really amazing to have a reflector who knows that they're a reflector, who are living their true design as, say, a coach or a therapist, because they're going to be able to reflect back to you how you are. And it's very, very useful. So whereas a projector, coach, or therapist will see deeply within, the reflector is actually mirroring you. So it's a slightly different dynamic, but really valuable, really amazing. Both projectors and reflectors, I find, can make amazing coaches, depending on other parts. I mean, all of the types can make amazing coaches and therapists, but particularly those, because of the way they see into the other person. So those are the 5 types. What now I'd like to do is just talk about what that means. So when you find out what type you are, maybe you find out that you are a generator, manifesting generator, a lot of what the true you is going to be obscured by your conditioning. in this life, unless you've done loads and loads of inner work and released lots of trauma, released lots of things. There's going to be much of your design that's actually overladen with conditioning. Now, the idea, so let's just stop for a moment. The idea is not to decondition everything, because your experiences and everything that you are has made who you are be who you are. So it is you. So the idea is not to like clear everything out and just be that imprint that you see there. It is actually a lifelong journey. And when you have a lot of conditioning that is not to your benefit, it can be useful to decondition that. So just to give you an example, I am a projector. I had parents who were manifesting generators. They lived very much in their design and they were on the go all the time. There was never a rest. They would start from 6 in the morning and still keep going. So I learned to be that way, to my detriment, because as a child, we have lots of energy. But as we grow up, the child energy, you know, all of that activity can start to taper off, which meant that I experienced burnout very regularly, because I had been taught and I had learned just through observation that I couldn't actually stop, that it was that was how people were. That's what I saw every day. That's how a person is. They don't sit still. They don't take rest. They don't take breaks. You know, even when they're sick, they don't take breaks. They keep going. So I would do this because I've learned that behavior. It's in my family. I didn't have any projectors in my family. I had a mixture of manifesting generators and generators who also had lots of motors as well. So a lot of energy. And I couldn't understand why I needed time alone to recharge when you know, my family was so social, all the time with people, constantly talking. I found it quite exhausting, and you know, felt that I was being quite rude if I would say, can I just have some time alone? Or if I wanted a rest, I created illness and or worried about being called lazy if I took a rest or a break. So that's something to bear in mind, that some conditioning actually is to your benefit. So if you're with the same type of person in your family, and you've got manifesting generators in the family, you're a generator or a manifesting generator, you're just, that conditioning, that part of the conditioning isn't going to have too much detriment for you. It may need tweaking, but it's not going to maybe, you know, put you into burnout or exhaustion or illness, that kind of thing. The other thing, which also is when you have different centers coinciding or opposite with family members, this also works in teams as well. So it's very useful to know who has what. And then you can actually look at where you're picking things up from others, where you are being influenced by others, whether that's a good influence, because sometimes it's really useful. So for example, somebody who has trouble making commitments, when they're with someone who has their heart center, their will defined, they'll be able to make commitments for themselves. And if they keep feeding into that person, they'll actually get a lot of stuff done. Whereas if they are just with their white heart center or will center, which is the area, one of the things that is actually being able to commit to things, your word is your bond, that kind of thing, and also your value, you might find it difficult to actually finish things, for example. So sometimes knowing what you're lacking and where that is can actually really, really help you. So yeah, so knowing yourself is one thing. Getting hung up on deconditioning yourself constantly, I would say, you know, don't worry too much, but maybe start to get a feel. And this is something that people do as a journey in terms of getting to know themselves. The creator of this system, so it takes 7 years to actually really, really know yourself and to decondition in a healthy way, not to let go of everything. So that took a lot longer than 10 minutes. I could talk about this for ages, but I do want to do some clearing for you. So what would it take for you to start to get to know yourself without the need to place any blame or guilt on any of the past experiences or ways that you have been? So everywhere where that applies, can we heal, clear, and transform that for you? And allow that possibility of knowing yourself without blame or without guilt. And what if you could start to get to know your identity at a deeper level while being able to stay, steady and steadfast through your life without getting lost? So everywhere where you have a tendency to go deep and get lost in different spaces, can we release that for you? Heal, clear, and transform all of those areas, and allow you to be able to go deep, to learn more, while staying the course of your life. Now, anywhere where you've actually gotten lost, where you've been following others and allowed that conditioning to actually impact you, to influence you, can we allow you now to see clearly with great clarity what that influence is and whether it benefits you or not? So everywhere where that's not been possible for you, can we heal, clear, and transform that? And how many people are you plugged into where you are feeling there? If you have open centers, if you are white in different spaces, how many people are you actually picking up on their feelings, on their thoughts, on their identities, on their pressures, on their ambitions, on their expression, on their ideas and their inspirations? Can we clear all of that out so that you know your thoughts, your feelings, your own identity, your will, your own availability for pressure, and how to be unpressured? We clear all that out for you. So everywhere that you have any resistance to that, can we heal, clear, and transform that? What would it take for your true essence to start to shine through more, to allow you to really get a sense of the things that work for you and the things that don't work for you? So everything that brings up, can we heal, clear, and transform that? Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, so those few little clearings, again, like on day one, you can run those and they will go deeper and deeper, layer by layer. I just want to say one thing. It's not necessary to have hours of clearings. A clearing can get layer and layer and layer and layer. So where you've been told, oh, you need to do loads of clearing, that's not the case. Because as the clearings go through, the energy goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And it is important for you to run them again. So one time we'll pick out one bit and so on. And everything that brings up for you, actually, can we heal, clear, and transform that? And all of the information that you're taking in through these few days, can we allow you to truly know what is appropriate for you and not take anyone else's word for that? So this is something that if you've got empty centers in the middle, this can be quite difficult, is to actually know what's true for you, what resonates with you, especially if you have the middle diamond, which is the G center, the identity center. If that's open, if that's white, you'll often be picking up other people's personalities, identities, their their values, that's those sort of things, the core part. So if that's you, can we allow you to release everything that has been implanted? Maybe it's through your culture, through your family, being told who you are, what you're like. All of those things can be implanted. So can we lift and pull those implants so that you can actually know who you truly are by being able to go inwards. We teach you how to go inwards and really hear those that sense, because it may not be a voice. It might just be a sense and awareness. So everything that is, we're going to heal, clear, and transform that. Okay. So that's it for day 3. This is a crucial part in following your flow to success, because if you don't know what your flow is, if you are using other people's flow, then you're going to be aiming for other people's success or trying to do your success someone else's way. So this really is the main thing. After that, it's much easier. Then it's just because you can hone what you pick up to use. So this was really quite an integral piece of following your own flow to success. Now, if you want to pick up your own chart and you want to actually find out, if you haven't come across this before, there's a couple of things I have for you. First of all, the website, the one I was using there is called mybodygraph.com. You can create your own login. You can have a free profile. You can have as many free profiles on there as you want. So you can put in your whole family if you wish and have a look. Maybe you're working in teams. You could put your whole team in and have a look and see how that overlaps. The other thing is, if you are keen to have a little mini reading, what I do is I offer a mini reading package, which is a reading. When I say mini, it's about 40 minutes. It's not mini. The reason I call it mini is because my full soul flow experience is extremely in depth. It's 4 or 5 hours of recordings plus 3 months to actually live that experience so that you can actually receive the learnings from learning your design. So if that's something that really intrigues you, then I'm happy to get on a call and actually discuss that with you. But this is a mini reading, and then 3 mini laser sessions to look at the 3 areas in your chart that have the most priority of being deconditioned, because you could go through the whole chart and look at deconditioning, and that can take a while, but there will be like nuggets, like the domino, the main bits that if you do deconditioning there, they will actually open up your chart. So if that's something that you would like to know more about, drop me a message. And again, I'll be in contact with you. I can send you the details. We can certainly have a quick call as well, if that's something that you're looking to do. And yeah, so those are the 2 things that I have that really go into learning about yourself. So let me know if those interest you. I hope that was useful. Please play those clearings again. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to the body meditation yesterday, some amazing results already from people who actually listened to that. A couple of people have said, you know, shoulder pains have disappeared. They've never felt so relaxed in their life. They are still relaxed and they can bring that feeling back in. If your body has never been relaxed before, I invite you to use that meditation, because it's been a game changer. It's been such a deep game changer for many people. And I'm actually going to be putting it on as an audio. So as part of a meditation package, but you get it for free for the moment because it's on day 2. So I would really, really recommend that you do that. It's about 30 minutes in. Okay, so tomorrow, let's see, what have we got tomorrow? Tomorrow we're going to be looking more about deconditioning, and more about habit changing and behavior changing. So we're going to be looking into that. The sort of things we'll be looking at is self-sabotage, people-pleasing behavior, imposter syndrome, and self-abandonment. So those are the 5 areas which we're going to be looking at in terms of habit changing behavior. And we will be doing a past life, or this past regression hypnosis, to, once we've actually discussed that, to actually pinpoint areas that can be healed. So that's also going to be a pretty amazing meditation. Okay, lovely to see you, and hope to see you tomorrow. Bye for now.